My name is Owen Bailey. I'm the Director of Land Use and Policy at Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, and I'm also the Chair of the Eastern Shore Trail Network Steering Committee. Our steering committee has been working hard over the last year with the National Park Service, and we're excited that we're going to be participating in Celebrate Trails Day on April 27th. So as I mentioned, in 2023, we received a grant, or it's a technical assistance grant through the National Park Service's Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And they are helping us to accomplish three goals. One, to create a greenway plan or a trail map for the Eastern Shore. Two, to expand our outreach and support for a connected trail system throughout the Eastern Shore. And finally, to create a trail coalition that will help our local governments with technical assistance, access to grants and information and data so that they can begin to plan, develop, and construct trails in their communities. That came out of a workshop we hosted a couple years ago. It was a vision for a connected trail system on the Eastern Shore, where we asked attendees of this workshop to draw trails wherever they thought they should be in their communities, connecting to parks and neighborhoods, schools and employment centers, grocery stores, shopping centers. And we wanted to expand on that. So this trail map that we've created was thanks to sponsorship from the Midshore Regional Council, the Rural Maryland Council, and was created by the Eastern Shore Regional GIS Cooperative out of Salisbury University. And this map shows existing trails on the Eastern Shore, both state park trails, local park trails, rails to trails like the ones in Chestertown, Easton, Cambridge, and Ridgely. And it also shows planned trails. There are many communities that have planned trails in their comprehensive plans. There are some that have master plans, like Queenstown has a master plan, Salisbury has a master plan, Easton. Believe it or not, Galena has a master plan within their comprehensive plan. And it's simple, but it's very effective. In their recent comprehensive plan update, it shows they want to create a trail from the town out to Toll Park along 213. And they want to have interconnected system within the town. And it's only about a page and a half in their comprehensive plan, but it's effective. It's helped them receive funding from the Bikeways program at State of Maryland through the Department of Transportation. And part of our job as a trail coalition is to show that you don't have to have a master plan. You can have a simple map and description in your comprehensive plan that can help you get those grants that you need for planning, development, and construction. So our work is not really to say what trails should accommodate, but it's more to promote the benefits and the values of trails. We want to see trails that are multi-use, that can be for biking, for hiking, for active transportation, for horseback riding, that is accessible for any users of any levels. There's about 40 towns on the Eastern Shore, 8 counties, and there are a lot of trails, but they're usually small trails and they're not very well connected. One thing we see when we look at the bigger region is Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania. Currently, they're better at building and planning trails than the state of Maryland. And we're trying to fix that, especially on the Eastern Shore. If you look at a map of all the trails in the state of Maryland, to quote one of my fellow steering committee members, it looks like somebody dropped a plate of spaghetti on Annapolis and Baltimore and Washington, and the Eastern Shore has a few specks of parsley. And we're trying to fix that. Part of the reason why we think that is our local governments on the Eastern Shore are fairly small. We have some towns that have a part-time administrator. Some have no planning staff or engineering staff. So they don't really have the capacity, the technical assistance to plan or develop trails. It's hard for them to think long-term when they're just trying to keep the day-to-day operations going. So we're trying to provide that awareness of the benefit of trails and help find the funding and the technical assistance. It's a tricky situation since the Eastern Shore is about the third of the landmass of the state, but we're only about 7-9% of the population. So the density is very low, and there's some arguments that we don't have the density to support a trail system. I don't think that's true. I think any community benefits from a trail. There was a bill at the General Assembly this year to create an Office of Trails and to help promote the creation of a statewide trail plan. It's not going to pass, but when I spoke at the hearing at the Environment and Transportation Committee, I made the point that people are built to walk, but we've systemically developed our communities to not only discourage walking, but to make it extremely inconvenient and deadly. And we need to have a plan on how do we correct that. And we think trails is part of that correction, to connect people to parks and schools and playgrounds and grocery stores. And there are lots of communities even here in Chestertown that are segmented from basic services in the town that could be fixed through a trail system. On Celebrate Trails Day, which is April 27th, there's going to be a series of trail events throughout the Eastern Shore. There was one down in Snow Hill, there'll be another in Oxford, in Cambridge, and there's going to be two here in Chestertown, or in Kent County. One on the Gilchrist Rail Trail here in Chestertown, and another one at the Cypress Branch State Park in Millington. And these events are designed to promote the many underappreciated benefits that trails make. Mentioning that people were built to walk, trails give us that ability to get out in nature, to get out in our communities, to exercise, to have a free form of transportation. Walking is the only true free form of transportation. And that leads to healthier lifestyles. There's data that shows that communities that have trails are generally healthier, both mentally and physically. Trails are a great tool for economic development because people want to come to places where they can walk. And think about any place that you've gone to visit, whether it's a historic town, whether it's a city in Europe, whether it's Disney World. These are places that are great because they are walkable and they are comfortable to be out in. Trails are also great for tourism. They are wonderful for equity. And think about everyone out there who can't afford to own a car, who physically or mentally cannot operate a car. Everyone who is too young to own a car or who's past their point in their life where they feel comfortable driving a car. There's a recent webinar from the Maryland Department of Planning, and the speaker, whose name escapes me, he made the point that an equitable form of transportation does grant freedom to an individual to access everything that they can within a day's commute, whether it's walking, biking, transit. And if you just limit people to automobiles, you really cut off those freedoms. And we think trails are a wonderful tool to give that back.